Welcome everyone. Let's see how this works. Last time I was talking on the beach and nobody could hear me. So hopefully this time I'll have better audio. Um, nice to see you. Uh, Wanted to say hello. Reason I'm doing this is because maybe you could help me with um, uh, getting caught up with my meditation practice. So I want to start doing some of these meditation sessions. And please, if you can't hear me for whatever reason, let me know. Post it on the chat. Uh, I was saying earlier that last time I was trying to do one of these and it was at the beach and it was terrible audio. Nobody could hear me. They just saw my mouth moving. So uh, to begin with, I wanted to read off of this book, which is called With Each and Every Breath, A Guide to Meditation. It's a really practical guide that anyone can follow, and it really breaks it down in a very simple way on how to do meditation. And you can actually Google it. It's again, the book is called Eat With Each and Every Breath, A Guide to Meditation, and it's by this guy, Jeffrey DeGraff. But if you just type in the title, "A Guide with Each and Every Breath, A Guide to Meditation," it should come up. It's blue. The cover is blue like this, and I believe there's a PDF file free that you can access, and you can follow along at your own pace. But today I wanted to focus on page 12, which is the introduction, and I'm going to read off of it just to ground us on some of the things that the book talks about. So page 12, it starts with a training the mind, and it says, the training that gets you to the mountain and provides you with fresh water has three aspects: virtue, concentration, and discernment. Virtue is the skill with which you interact with other people and living beings at large, based on the intention to cause no harm to yourself or to others. This is a topic that we will consider in part 3, so definitely keep reading. In the discussion of issues that commonly arise when integrating meditation into daily life. But it's important to note here why virtue is related to meditation. If you act in harmful ways, then when you sit down to meditate, the knowledge of that harm gets in the way of staying firmly in the present moment. If you react with regret over the harm that you've done, you find it difficult to stay settled in the present moment with confidence. If you react with denial, you build inner walls in your awareness that create more opportunities for ignorance and make it harder to look directly at what's really going on in the mind. The best way to avoid these two interactions is to stick to the intention not to do anything harmful in the first place, and then make up your mind to follow that intention with more and more skill. If you've seen that you have acted unskillfully, acknowledge your mistake, recognize that regret won't erase the mistake, and resolve not to repeat the mistake in the future. This is the most that can be asked of a human being living in time where our actions aimed at shaping the future can be based only on knowledge of the past and present. And I wanted to put a big exclamation point here. This is to be done without, to not attach yourself to judgment. So in other words, if you behaved unskillfully, or you've done something that really has disturbed your conscience, then beating yourself over it over and over again is not a helpful thing for you to do. You should navigate and explore ways on how to avoid it in the future, but attaching to it is a trick of the mind. So just be mindful of that. The second aspect of the training is concentration. The book goes on. Concentration is a skill of keeping the mind centered on a single object, such as the breath, with a sense of ease, refreshment, and equanimity. Equanimity being the ability to watch things without falling under the sway of likes and dislikes. And this is really important in terms of concentration. Often this is one of the hardest things for anyone to do, because especially during this day and age where you are on your laptop, you have your device, you're checking social media, and we get into this habit of just being distracted, and almost we live in a culture of ADD essentially. So practicing being able to focus on one thing can become a very powerful thing to unlock and to tap into, and it can establish the foundation of a meditation practice. I'll keep reading. And attaining concentration requires developing three qualities of mind: alertness, the ability to know what's happening in the body and mind while it's happening; ardency, the desire and effort to abandon any unskillful qualities that may arise in the mind and to develop skillful qualities in their place; mindfulness, the ability to keep something in mind. In case of breath meditation, this means remembering to stay with the breath and to maintain the qualities of alertness and ardency with every in and out breath. So this talks about the connection of your desire and your ardency, of the, or rather, this talks about the connection of you integrate the ardency into your physical practice. So connecting the mind with the body and having a relationship along those lines. When these three qualities become strong, they can bring the mind to a state of strong connection called jhana. I'm not familiar with the concept, but for those that want to explore it further, it's spelled Jhan as in Nancy A. Again, Jhana. It's called jhana, or meditative absorption, which we will discuss in part 4. Because jhana is based on desire, the desire to develop skillful qualities in the mind, it too is a form of becoming. But it's a special form of becoming that allows you to see the processes of becoming in action. At the same time, the ease and refreshment provided by jhana are health food for the mind, enabling you to abandon many of the unskillful eating habits that would pull you off the path. And by eating habits, we mean, the desires of, for example, causing harm, or addictions that you become attached to. And this can be as simple as, addicted to getting distracted by things that are not really helpful, or healing or helpful for your daily life, or either eating or whatever it is that you may have become attached to. That's what it's referring to. And because the supply of mental food coming from jhana is steady, it takes some of the pressure off of your need to feed. In other words, those like immediate satisfaction needs. This allows you to step back from the question of hunger and to look at them through the questions of discernment, seeing where the stress of feeding is unnecessary and how you can master the skills to go beyond it. This is why jhana is central to the path of training. The third aspect of the training is discernment. Discernment is the ability to distinguish the skillful processes of the mind from the unskillful ones. So being able to observe your inner self in your actions and how that is projected outwards, to understand how to abandon what's unskillful and to develop what's skillful. Once you become aware, you can change. To know how to motivate yourself so that you can abandon unskillful processes, and to develop skillful processes even when you're not in the mood. So in other words, it gets you some momentum once you get started. You learn these three abilities by listening to others, as when you read a book like this one. So in other words, searching for wisdom wherever you can find it, and by observing your own actions and asking the right questions about them. In the beginning, you step back from the questions of hunger, which demand an answer right now as to where and what to feed on next, and take stock of how you've been feeding. For example, in what ways do your feeding habits lead to stress? In other words, when you try to feed get immediate satisfaction, or trying to feed from bad habits, asking the question, how does it really relieve stress? Is it really relieving it, maybe just for this moment, or is it just causing more stress in the long term? In what ways is that stress unnecessary? So exploration of the mind and curiosity at observing these questions. To what extent is it worth it? In other words, to what extent does the pleasure gained from feeding compensate for the stress? In the beginning stages, as you develop virtue and try to master concentration, the questions of discernment are simply looking for better ways to feed. In other words, they're refined versions of the questions of hunger. So I'll stop there. I wanted to actually go on for another page and a half, but this is a lot to absorb. And again, I highly, highly recommend this book, With Each and Every Breath. It's not just theoretical. It goes into some of the practical things on how to do meditation, and one of the reasons why I wanted to highlight it in this in this context is that I think we can explore these things together. I'm not reading this because like I know or I have arrived at like learning how to use all of these things. I'm just like everyone else. I get distracted by things in my life, social media. I Sometimes it's hard for me to get up in the morning, so I think that something happens when you come together and you start to explore things like that, so you can create a container for us together be able to there's in other words there's power in numbers, and what things that you were not able to do on your own you may be able to do with others in community. So I'm gonna try to see if I can record this session and leave it for others, but for later watching. But I also wanted to highlight another portion exploring this concept of being aware. If on my page, facebook.com/economic refugee, if you Google, I've been trying to post a lot of the different tidbits of things that I've read and insights or things like that. And you'll see, so you can go through there and scroll through the page. There's a lot of different things that I started to post both in English and Spanish for people to access. And one of the reasons I started to do that is because it's so hard to, I've discovered that it's really difficult to be able to access some of these healing practices, and which is really frustrating and unfair, especially since you only are able to access these kinds of things sometimes when you have money. For example, if you have money to go to a therapist, or know how to work the system, or know what to do, where to look, and that often is tied to other systems of of privilege, right? And so it's been really frustrating to see just how little this information exists in a way that's more grounded on actual people that know their stuff. I prefer to look at sources that are grounded in mental health, from mental health practitioners that are actually trained in this field, as opposed to people that are just kind of like gurus and like just trying to make up. I don't know. It just seems that's not my thing. In other words, so I try to ground it on things that are explore through the exploration of social science, and also, and not just that, but also people that have spent the time exploring these things in a spiritual level. So anyways, you'll find quite a few a bunch of stuff, and I'll continue to post it both in English and Spanish, because that's the other thing too, that in Spanish I hardly see anything published, and so that's another topic for another day, of how Latino communities, there's a lot of healing, just like with any other POC group, a lot of trauma that has occurred, and the access to mental health services is just very limited, and even when there's things like mental health services, you might get charged a fee, or just it's just not designed to help you or make it accessible. So hopefully, anyways, by by starting things like this, and I see others that are doing stuff like this, and it really inspires me, and I'm really grateful to all of those that take the time to do stuff like this, to be able to help our communities and just be in connection to one another. So anyways, I said I was gonna go into some of the tidbits that I posted, and one that in particular that I wanted to focus on with Project Economic Refugee is this post that I published on there last year, 2020, and essentially goes like this. Ask yourself, what is the cost of spending a lot of time thinking about the suffering, mistakes, and problems of the past, and what might happen in the future? And then if you reflect on that question, the answer coming from wisdom mind is that the cost that you may is the cost is that you may miss out on good things that could happen now in the present, in this moment. And then afterwards you may find yourself regretting that you missed once again not enjoying the things of the present, because instead you were thinking too much about the past or the future, so you keep yourself in a cycle of suffering. You can break out of it, and it is better to practice living in the present. The way to practice living in the present, and again, I'm saying it not just to you but also to myself because I want to up my practice, is to practice living in the now. And how do you do that? One tool to do that is through one, physical activity, being more in your body, and the other one is practice mindful meditation, which is what I started with today. The tips and the tools to do mindful meditation. Mindful meditation is all about bringing your awareness to the now, bringing your awareness to your senses, through your bodily, sensorial dimension. So, what are you smelling? What are you feeling against your skin? What are you hearing? All of these different things that can bring us, instead of thinking our mind, the wheels in our mind turning and turning about things in the future or things that happened in the past, short circuiting that and being able to tap into the present, that can be a very powerful thing. Because what happens often is that we either we live in the future worrying about potential outcomes that we either don't have any control over, or things that catastrophizing about the worst possible scenarios, and so we give ourselves anxiety, and it can get really bad with anxiety. Our mind can be a very powerful thing, and so being aware that you might be playing tricks on yourself, your mind might be completely be playing you, is one first step in order to seek out tools that will get you out of that cycle. Or the other way that you might not be in the present is thinking about things that happened to you in the past, whether you feel like somebody wronged you or somebody harmed you, hurt you, and not just that you feel, but somebody did hurt you, somebody did harm you. And this isn't about like, oh, just get over it, move on. It's just more about being able to recognize that that's what's happening, but also recognize that that what happened in the past is not only it not only robbed you and hurt you, but it's also you are allowing it in the present, because that situation may no longer be happening right now, in the moment right now. You are allowing that situation to also be harming you in the present time, because you're giving it power to it by focusing so much on it and going over in your mind again and again about like whether, oh man, I should have done this, or I should have said that, or I should have told this person that, blah blah blah, or oh man, I'm gonna teach that person a lesson next time, because you're so consumed by that past that you are then not seeing the potential beautiful things that might be happening right now in the present moment. And even the simple things like, looking up at the sky and looking at the flowers, the beauty of the sky, the beauty of the ocean. Maybe you have a pet, maybe being able to be present there with your family, happy moments. And if you are not enjoying the present, then in the future you might be looking back and then being angry that you didn't enjoy those moments that have already passed, and then therefore you're stuck in this like cycle over and over that repeats again, where you're not in the present moment. You're just thinking about what happened in the past and what happened in the future. So anyways, I wanted to highlight that section of the Project Economic Refugee post. Again, you can go there and check out some of the content that I posted on there at your own leisure. And then finally, I wanted to do a walk you through, do us a meditation practice together, and then we'll wrap this up. And you can, again, hopefully this will record and folks can join it at their own leisure. But let's just begin. Usually I begin by finding a place comfortable to sit, and you can either be on the floor or on a chair. You can also just find a place where it'll be quiet. Try to turn the ringer of your phone or as minimal distractions as you can. If there are distractions, that's okay too. You can incorporate them into your meditation practice. You can so uh, beginning with just finding a spot ahead, far ahead into the maybe into the wall or a place to focus on, or if you prefer, you can look down, and you can also close your eyes and always begin with the breath. The breath is one of our most powerful tools that we can tap into. So begin by breathing. We're gonna do several deeper breaths, and I'll count 2, 6, and you can begin by inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale again 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale again 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale again 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale again 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now notice your heart, how it's beating. Notice how it's pumping blood through your body. It's keeping you alive. Being grateful for the gift of having the ability to breathe. Being grateful for your body. Notice also how the room feels, whether it's warm or a breeze or coolness on your skin. Then next also notice any sounds that you may hear. Maybe the sound of your own breathing, the sound of the trees outside, the birds. Maybe there's a machine with its motor running. Notice that sound. And maybe notice what you may see, whether you're looking down, unfocused, or in your mental image, what you may see. If there are colors that you might be perceiving as you have your eyes closed. If you have a mental image of something of a place where you have been before, where you have felt peaceful, see what it looks like. Are there trees? Is there water? How does the water sound, the streaming of the river? Is it a creek? Are there animals nearby? Can you see ants? And as you think of this place, if you find yourself being distracted by noises outside or thoughts about what you have to do today or anything like that, just think of them as balloons or clouds that are passing by, and just let them pass by. Don't try to not think about them. Just know that it's natural. It's okay for those thoughts to come. Just practice not attaching to them. Just letting them go. And just keep breathing. Return to your breath. Just know that the one constant always is that you can always return to your breath. You can always find your center there. Now keep focusing on your body. Keep looking and noticing the place that you have imagined in your mind. Continuing with looking around into the sky, letting go of things. If there are things that you have been thinking about, that have been worrying you, things that have unsettled you, things that are disturbing you, imagine them like they're surrounding you, but then think about what it would look like if they just began to detach from you and you began to let go of them. Think of them as if they were perhaps just steam leaving you, floating up into the sky. All those things that you've been hanging on to, all the things that have been worrying you, just having them leave you. Notice what color is it? What color is the steam that's leaving you? It's all going up into the sky. You can also surrender it. If there is a person that has helped you in the past, imagine a source of light, or a place, a source of light, a source of wisdom. You can think about just releasing those worries there. Just let it leave you. And don't be worried or concerned that this is too hard, or you think that you're not able to get it. There is no such thing as not getting it. Know that at first it's not going to be easy. We're so used to hanging on to our worries that we haven't practiced letting them go. But it all begins with practicing. And the more that you practice, the better that you're going to get at it. Just like anything else. So even if it's just like a tiny bit of being able to release your worries, being able to release those things that you think have been enslaving you, those negative thoughts, the negative chatter, even if it's just a little bit, that is really important. Because today you have made the decision to begin changing the way that you have been operating under, and that deserves credit, to give yourself credit for it. Now, I'm going to give you some time for you to be in silence. You won't hear me talk for a while, but I will come back. Keep doing the breathing. Keep doing the releasing. Keep noticing your body. Keep noticing where things are coming out from. And remember to be grateful. Remember to practice gratitude for this moment. Keep breathing. You're doing great. Just a couple of more minutes. As you continue your breath, you can begin to notice The things are back in your room again. The sounds, the breeze, the temperature. Remember where you're at. You can return to your body. And when you're ready, if you close your eyes, you can open them back up again, slowly, taking your time. And you can be ready to come back to your day. Move around. Hopefully you were able to stand still. So I know this can be hard for some people. You can stretch your neck. You can move it. So anyways, well, hopefully that was helpful for people. This can be a hard thing for people to stand still and trying to focus. But that's why this can be a powerful practice, because it takes us out of that whole, routine of always just being on the run and just getting distracted by multiple things and have to do this, I have to do that, and being able to find a focal point in the storm, that can be a very powerful thing. And because it's easy, it's easy to